Well, it's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. Time to talk about Muslims and child marriage because they can't stop. We're going to hear some of that. Daniel Haqiqatjou is going to try his cowboy accent on us in his attempt to defend child marriage. I think you guys might get some new sound bites you can use out of this. There's some pretty interesting one-liners in here you're going to enjoy.
Well, when you think of child marriage, think of Daniel Haqiqatjou. Yeehaw! And a Muslim cowboy.
Now, this Dawa ain't big enough for two Muslim cowboys, I'll tell you that. This is, oh boy. So he's going to, I don't know what happened. We did our stream on him like 2 weeks ago, and that very week, he had to bring all three of us up in his Haqiqatjou show that he's been doing now, where he's supposed to go through like current events and news stuff, but he had to talk about us.
I thought, horrifyingly, you were just talking about Daniel Haqiqatjou and the child marriage, and I thought you were saying Haqiqatjou, and I was like, oh my goodness, please don't go down this road. But fortunately, you said something else. So okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. How you doing today, AP?
All right, not too bad.
All right, you sound.
Was in a better mood before I heard your intro music, which was not the best thing I've heard.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot. Everyone was wondering. We thought it was coming, and then nothing.
Yep, failed that one. Yeah. Oh well, it is what it is. But yeah. So Daniel, last 2 weeks ago, I think you guys were back here talking about Daniel on the Kim Iverson show, and then sure enough, 2 days later, Daniel's back on his channel talking about all three of us, calling me specifically a retard, and also defending child marriage by basically saying, you people in Texas allow cheerleading competitions. What's wrong with what we do? Like if you guys allow girls to wear skirts and be cheerleaders, why can't we bang them? It's practically the same thing.
Wait, is this so it's like it's whataboutism, but like the dumbest kind of whataboutism, right? It's like the most idiotic whataboutism there is. It's, oh, you believe it's perfectly acceptable to penetrate a 4-year-old, but to be fair, we have cheerleading competitions where they do cheers and see who can rile up the crowd best. So yeah, who are we to criticize you penetrating 4- and 5-year-olds?
It's practically the same thing.
An interesting thing, when he was talking to Kim Kardashian, he was just making all of these claims about child marriage and about how Islam views child marriage and how child marriage is actually okay and all that. And we talked about it. Of course, when talking to Kim Kardashian, he's not. He's
you mean Kim Iverson?
As he can be. Yeah, same thing. But now that we have responded to it, he could, in his follow-up live stream, respond to the things that we are saying. But apparently, he didn't really do that, right? He just went on to become even dumber and even worse, I think.
I don't know if he watched the stream we did. He might have and just decided to mention us because of that. He may have known about it, and that's why we were in his head. I don't know, but this was pretty dumb. But I thought it was funny. You're saying Kim Kardashian, and I was like, when did Daniel talk to Kim Kardashian? I'd pay to see that. But
quite recently,
yeah. But Kim Iverson, yeah. So let me pull this up here. This is his brand new show, the Haqiqatjou. I don't know how he says it because I didn't watch the beginning, but I did find us coming up here a couple times, which is pretty awesome. Let me just say, I it's hard for me to watch some of these clips without laughing numerous times. So let's play some of this.
That little 13-year-old. F you, whatever your name is, pedo.
So he's talking about Ryan Garcia, the boxer, who was recently attacking Muslims like Mohammed Hijab. And this was his response to that. So Ryan Garcia
Ryan Garcia attacked Islam. This is disgusting.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
He's a huge Islamophobe, don't you know? But he's kind of crazy. He's also a huge racist, and so I don't endorse him at all. But he was attacking Muslims in their defense of child marriage, and him and Mohammed Hijab got in it. So Daniel's going to comment on it for us.
So this is how he attacked Mohammed Hijab. That tweet was seen by 9 million people. That was the reach of that tweet. 9 million.
Good job.
So then he also had this tweet. Mohammed Hijab is a PDF file. But then he deleted that tweet.
It doesn't say PDF file. It says pedophile.
Yeah, pedophile.
Yeah.
It's libel. It's defamation, and he could be held accountable for that. But look, 1.5 million people. And this is what they do to Muslims, all the time, constantly. They do it to Muslims. They don't do it to Jews. They don't do it to Christians, even though within their books and within their traditions, there's so much that just...
Daniel, how many Christians and Jews today are rapidly, like endlessly defending child marriage? Like I know of like maybe on a handful, like kind of one hand the amount that are doing this nonsense. It's always the Dawa guys. It's always these traditionalist Muslims that are defending child marriage. So no, we're not going after them because we're not doing it.
Yeah, the part that Daniel got right there is if someone is defending pedophilia, it wouldn't necessarily mean that you are a pedophile. So that could be some sort of false allegation or something like that. So you could be called out for that. But as far as him saying, well, why aren't they calling out? Dude, if we saw a bunch of Christians defending pedophilia and promoting child marriage, we would call them out in a heartbeat. If I saw a Jew and he's saying, you're darn right, we're gonna bang little 4-year-olds, like Daniel Haqiqatjou says, I'd call him out in a heartbeat. It's just you guys happen to be the world's leading defenders who are defending child marriage and pedophilia. That's you guys. So we're criticizing you.
In fact, last year on TikTok, there was a Christian who was trying to say it's okay to, marry 15, 14-year-olds. And I did a video reply to him and called him out. So I'll do it. But again, it's just you guys that want to do this. It's just the Muslims these days, mostly.
Daniel Haqiqatjou, whenever Islam comes up, whenever there is a controversy surrounding Islam, it very often, in many of those cases, it revolves around one of a few issues, and one of those is pedophilia, and how good it is actually to marry children. And you are one of those who keep saying that it's totally okay. When we talk about Islam, pedophilia comes up quite frequently because you guys defend it. When we talk about Christianity or Judaism, it usually doesn't come up unless it's you guys talking about it to deflect from Islam. So
justifies the marriage of minors under the age of 18, right? The whole Christian tradition talks about how Mary, the Virgin Mary, was married to Joseph at age 12.
Whoa!
And
did you hear that? The whole Christian tradition. What a liar!
Wow.
What a liar! I've said that, hey, guys, how many times have you heard me say? I've never heard people who lie as freely. Like after that, you can expose them 100 times in a row, and they'll just still tell the same lie. Why? Because they don't care if we know that they're lying. They only care that their followers completely mindlessly accept anything they say. And so it's just they've built up a community that loves lies, and then they keep feeding lies to the community. And the community, once the lie has been exposed, it's not like they're, oh no, we've been lied to. They accept that they've been lied to. They just don't. They don't care. It doesn't bother them, because guys, the standard in Islam is not whether something is true or false or right or wrong. It's whether it supports Islam or goes against Islam. That's the criteria. So those are the criteria. So if you're saying something and it supports Islam, truth or false, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah. If you are lying, but it's to support Islam, it's good. And if you are telling the truth to criticize Islam, then it's bad. And so true and false, right and wrong go out the window. All that matters in the world of Dawa is whether it's supporting Islam or it's going against Islam. That's all that matters. And we can see it over and over and over again.
And this
That's
is
the most Islamophobic thing I've heard in my entire life. But I'm just wondering about one thing, which is at this point, Michael, I told you in the, per message as well, but it just confuses me that this guy is shown the very clear proof that what he's saying is false, but then he just goes on to the next stream or to the next event and just repeats it. So he knows very well that he is repeating something that has been very clearly demonstrated to be false, and that just makes me wonder if this guy has a personality problem or if he is working for a certain agenda, so he doesn't really care.
Yeah, I gotta think it's an agenda at this point. I mean, like we know the only the Catholics say there's an unreliable tradition that Mary married Joseph when she was 12. She was a perpetual virgin, so no pedophilia, no intercourse was involved there. And again, it's an unreliable tradition that no one says is like a dogma of the church.
It even says it in the Catholic Encyclopedia. It says these dreams that people have told, completely unreliable nonsense. And how does Daniel represent that to his followers? Does he say, hey, here's a tradition that Catholics reject, and that everyone, you will not find someone at any point in your life who takes this as a reliable source? He says, and it's the universal testimony of the entire Christian tradition. And it doesn't follow his followers.
Christians think about it all the time.
By the way, there are consequences for this. See, that they've built up a community where they believe that they can lie freely, and they don't care, right? They'll lie about Rebecca. You expose the lie, they'll tell the same lie. You expose the lie again, they tell the same lie. They're just like, it's like they're saying, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop us from telling this lie? How are you going to stop us from telling this lie? Well, there are ways. Exposing you, I acknowledge. Exposing the lie, that does not stop you from lying. I agree, but there are ways. So just giving everyone a heads up and planning this for a while in response to them just like blatantly, openly lying about Rebecca and Mary and all these other people they claim to respect. They claim to respect Abraham, but according to them, he was sent to find he sent his servant to find a 3-year-old to be banged by his son and so on. So Abraham supports pedophilia. Isaac supports pedophilia. We believe in all these guys. Well, yes, we respect them. That's why we constantly lie about them. And they know they can get away with it because it's not like we're going to go silence them or something like that. But anyway, there are ways. So if they're constantly lying in order to defend their prophet, they're constantly lying about prophets that they claim to respect, about Mary, whom they claim to respect, about Jesus, whom they claim to respect, and they're just going to lie. How are we going to respond? Well, I'm not going to advocate lying in response. I'm not going to, I can't do it. We're not like you guys. We don't worship a God who's the best of deceivers and a prophet who was a champion of deceiving people. We don't do that. So I'm not, under no circumstances am I going to say lie against these guys in response. But I am going to say, I'm going to put this together in a nice video. I'm going to put this together in a nice, beautiful, lovely video and say, since you guys are lying and we can't lie in response, I am going to suggest that we stop giving the benefit of the doubt on all these issues, right? In other words, when we read all of these hadiths about Muhammad being covered in semen, and we give the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, maybe it's just disgusting. He's using his own garment as a semen rag and then heading to the mosque and so on. As disgusting as that is, that's the most charitable interpretation we can give, right? There are other interpretations we can give that. So now what I'm saying is, I'm not going to interpret it as Muhammad using his garment as a semen rag. I'm going to interpret it as other guys are using Muhammad as their semen rag. Guess what's perfectly consistent with the sources? That's just me not giving the benefit of the doubt. It's not me lying. We don't know where that semen came from, so we can come up with any hypothesis that is consistent with the evidence. When we read these passages about Muhammad, and the passages just say he's in his wife's garments. He's in his wife's garments, or he's in his wife's dress, right? Muslims will say, oh, yes, but here garment or dress means blanket, or here it means house. I've heard that one. Here, thawb, which is garment. There it means house. Okay. And you think, okay, maybe there's some idiom that I don't know about. And so you give the benefit of the doubt. You say, okay, maybe it does mean something else. No more. Muhammad was prancing around in his child bride's nightie. No benefit of the doubt at all. When we read about him sucking on the tongue of Al-Hassan and Hussein, and Muslims say, oh, this is just because it's a hot desert environment, and you'd suck on each other's tongues to get the moisture and stuff like that. And they'll even say like, oh, Muhammad's spit had miraculous properties and could satiate someone for days and nonsense like that. And they're saying, oh yeah, give us the benefit of the doubt on that. Not giving the benefit of the doubt anymore. He's a pedophile. He's sucking that tongue to get off on it. So I'm just going to go down the line every single time when they're like, oh yeah, that's the most obvious interpretation, but don't go with that. Go with this weird interpretation to justify our prophet, to make him look not as disgusting as he would. No more of that. No more of that. I'm saying go with the worst again, I'm not saying lie. I'm saying take the passage. What's the worst interpretation you could give? It's usually like the obvious one. What's the worst interpretation you could give? And do not budge on that. And every time they say, oh, but maybe it means, just shut up, you liar. That's not what it says. That's not what it means. And we're sticking to it. So that's going to be, and what's amazing is they're going to be flipping out when we do that. It's because of you guys. It's because of you guys. We can't stand you lying, and we wonder how can we react? How are we going to respond to you endlessly lying about people you claim to respect? Well, we're just going to have to teach you a little lesson. Get ready for it.
I'm kind of relieved because when you said that there is a way to stop them, I was thinking that you wanted people to find and kill them or something. But yeah,
Don't need to. Don't need to.
This is better. Yeah.
This
Wait,
is better, yeah.
when you have when you have the most obvious false prophet in history and possibly the most disgusting individual I've ever read about anyone. I mean, I've never seen a person who had a problem with always having semen all over his clothes and constantly having to clean it off and scrape it off and scrub it off. Never heard of that problem. Sucking on the tongues of little boys, banging a little girl, all this stuff. I've never seen anyone who has this collection of problems. So most disgusting person ever. But yeah, you don't need to get physical, AP, because Muhammad got physical with little girl, little boys, all that stuff, and we can just expose it.
Sounds good.
Physical.
All right, I'm gonna play some more of this.
When she carried Jesus, peace be upon him, Jesus Christ. Some say she was just 12 years old within the Catholic tradition, for example. And then in other traditions as well, she was under 18, most likely under 18. And so what is this? This is like forced impregnation of a minor. And that's, according to you, the mother of God. So why isn't this talked about? There are people who talk about it, actually, but it's whenever there's a Christian speaker or a Christian apologist, they're not constantly being called PDF file. You're a pedo, you're a pedo, you're a pedo, you're a pedo. But with Muslims, that's the only refrain. That's the only.
That's a good sound back.
Yeah. So let's just be clear here. A pedophile is someone who is sexually attracted to a prepubescent girl. So one, being attracted to a 14, by the way, when he's talking about these sources and stuff like that, even the Catholic Encyclopedia one, by the time she's actually having Jesus, even in the unreliable source that no one takes seriously, she's 14. So and then there's no sex involved. So one, she's not a prepubescent girl. Two, there's no sexual attraction involved. There's no sex involved.
Correct.
And you see the hypocrites. People don't call them pedophiles for this situation, which has nothing to do with a prepubescent girl and nothing to do with sex. Hypocrites. Bunch of moron. And again, he only gets away with this because his followers are this stupid and brainwashed and this completely happy with deception.
The also problem is he sends his followers out for failure because they go out and they meet our followers and they get destroyed with these kinds of facts because it's very easy to show how stupid this is. So I guess Daniel wants his followers to look stupid when they're going out and making these kinds of arguments because that's what I have encountered over and over on TikTok, on Twitter, when I bring this kind of stuff up. His followers end up looking like idiots. So I guess that's what Daniel wants.
And by the way, this is why like people are discovering very rapidly nowadays that people won't engage, the Muslims won't engage in discussion with anyone who knows the Dawa script. In other words, anyone who's actually going to respond, they only use this stuff in an atmosphere of ignorance, which is their followers and any ignorant people that their followers are coming into contact with. They won't have this discussion with anyone who knows what they're talking about. If you go to Speaker's Corner, in other words, if Daniel were at Speaker's Corner, he would be spouting this to people who don't know any better. Oh yes, did you know? Blah blah blah. If Chris or Bob or anyone showed up, he'd shut his mouth and he'd run, guaranteed.
Right. Correct.
Only thing that they really have to say, actually. So this is Ryan Garcia. Then our brother Hijab had some good clapbacks. Did I include this? Yeah. Oh, here's a meme from our brother Muslim Sion. I just love this meme.
I love that one too.
And whenever he posts it, it goes viral.
Yeah.
I love that AP's on there as a Christian scholar.
Wait, who posted this? I didn't even see this.
Yeah, I forget. But yeah,
that's funny.
This is the level of intellect they sort of argue with here. This kind of stuff here. They think they really got us with this one.
Yeah. Christian scholars. They got AP on there as a Christian scholar who has a problem with early marriage. And so just to be clear, just to be clear, IP, Justin Martyr, all these other guys, Origin, all these other guys, they've stated that they're fine with a 54-year-old man having sex with a prepubescent 9-year-old. They've said that?
Apparently, according to Daniel.
Hey, hold on. Look at the look at the picture of me, by the way.
They looks like they enlarged your nose a little bit.
Yeah.
Look what they did to my nose. You know what? You know why they do that?
That's the one they call Jew P.
Yeah, they recently started doing that to accuse me of being a crypto Jew because of my defense of Israel, for example, which is of course a very, very, very funny thing to put together here when they respond to Christians, also thereby directly attacking Jews. It's so funny, man.
But then they turn around and say, Christians, why don't you join with us against the Zionists? And then they do crap like this. And they're like,
and they're also so AP is an agnostic, but here they use the picture to accuse him of being a Jew that they photoshopped to call him a Jew, and they call him a Christian scholar simultaneously. So AP is a secret Jewish Christian scholar. Interesting.
That looks like I have some. I'm very big on being both a Christian scholar and a great defender of Israel. So also Jewish and also an ex-Muslim. They should call me OP instead of AP. Overpowered.
Apparently, they think Ryan Garcia is also a Christian scholar of the day. So
he is definitely
shows the level of research they do when it comes to this. So
alhamdulillah.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead to when he's responding to Destiny, who has recently lost his mind online, but this is an older clip of him actually defending Islam. And so Daniel decided to highlight this.
Intelligent to judge past people based on current morals. I don't know if Muhammad's wife was like 9 or 12. I know it was some really early age that everybody likes to look at and say, but even in the US, even 50 or 60 years ago, 14-year-olds and getting married off to adult men and whatnot. So, I mean, we don't have to go that far back into our own history to say that people pretty much by 12 or 13 are ready to start pumping out kids. And we would do that in the day. So.
Wow. So a very nuanced take from Destiny.
That is, and idiotic. Idiotic. How many times do we have to say it? So we favor waiting till something like 17, 18 or something like that, because 18. that's when all the dangers that are associated both for the mother and for the child that get worse the younger they are. That's when these things start coming to the end of the bell curve and so on. And so you say, okay, here we have this. It's actually better to wait till some age like this. But if you're talking about 14, 15 or something like this, yes, there are young girls who can have a child and not have any problem. My mom got pregnant with me when she's 15. What are these? So you can actually have 14, 15-year-olds who are ready, their hips are widened and so on. It's just still safer to wait longer. So why not wait longer? Is that what we're talking about when we're talking about Daniel Haqiqatjou, who defends having sex with 4-year-olds? IP, did he or did he not say it's acceptable to consummate a marriage with a 4-year-old?
He said yes. If they show any signs of puberty, they can be married off.
No. He said any sign of maturity. That's different.
Oh, right.
That means something different in the Muslim sources.
Yeah. So yeah, any precocious puberty as young as 4, 11 months, even. Mm-hmm. Fair game.
So
if there are signs,
let's hear Daniel play a clip of Destiny saying that. Oh, you know what? Since there were times when a 14-year-old in the U.S. can have a child or something like that, therefore it's okay to have sex with a 4-year-old long before puberty, long before any hips have widened, long before any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get Destiny to defend what we're actually really, really criticizing harshly here, Daniel. You can't, because no one thinks that except you and your followers and other
it's
people
also
in your religion.
Interesting that he's playing this old clip from Destiny. What's the point of that? Destiny. This is an old clip of Destiny where Destiny was giving his opinion on the matter without first analyzing it and coming to a better understanding and conclusion. This is like playing. I don't know. There was a clip of Andrew Tate several years ago talking trash about the whole pro-Palestine things and about Islam. This would be equivalent to me sitting here and just playing that and saying, "Oh, look, interesting. See what Andrew Tate says here." What's the point? This is dumb.
This is what happens when your followers don't ever like fact check you or hold you accountable. They just go with whatever you say and don't ever actually offer any good criticism. This is what we end up with.
That's quite interesting to hear Destiny talk like this about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and saying even in our own history, we have this. I got news for you, Destiny. It's not just your history; it's your present. In your present, you have this. It's rampant. It's rampant. What's rampant? This childhood sexuality, childhood sexual practice,
Destiny.
the sexualization of children,
Banging
the
4-year-olds?
sexualization of minors.
Apparently.
Are you Daniel, if you're talking about where it's just openly accepted to bang 4-year-olds like you say should be the case, show us. I will have a problem. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's here in the US, in the UK, wherever it is. I would have a serious problem with it, Daniel. But you're the only group I know of who's defending sex with 4-year-olds. And when we call you out, you say, "Oh, but you know, this girl, she's a day younger than 18, and I don't see you complaining about that nearly as much as you complain about banging little 4-year-olds."
But hold on, David. Let me tell you about. Tell you about what else is going on.
He's about to give well, it's okay because American culture sexualizes children, and this is what he's going to try to argue. So get ready for this crazy nonsense.
Minors. This is your present. It's not your past. It's not your history. Yeah, your history. Yeah, if you go far back, maybe your grandmother or your great grandmother was married off when she was just 12 years old or 13 years old.
You see,
does that mean your whole family tree is
Yes.
full of
And
pedos?
if your grandfather drank a beer, that means there's nothing wrong with beer.
Ooh.
And if your great-great-grandmother ate a ham sandwich, that means you can't complain about ham. Daniel Haqiqatjou. They don't realize how stupid this is, right? If anyone in history did it, you can't complain about it. Now let's complain about things that everyone in history has done because we're Muslims and we don't. My goodness, what is this, man?
Logic's out the window.
That was a joke.
If that's
the joke.
what you want to claim about Islam, but that's what you want to claim about what the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did. Okay, well, your whole family tree is full of pedos then. In the same light
Daniel.
as
Daniel. Well, Daniel, in history, people were also going around and attacking random societies and villages and just taking the women captive and raping them. So is that? Oh, wait. Okay, yeah.
Daniel, find someone in my family tree where a 54-year-old man consummated a marriage with a 9-year-old girl. And guess what? I will say, man, that was screwed up. I wish they had known more about what is safe. I wish they had had more medical knowledge so that they could have abandoned that practice. I wouldn't say, "Oh, granddad banged a 9-year-old, so I guess I could just go start banging 9-year-old." Like, I mean, I wonder, it's another situation where I wonder, is he actually this stupid, or does he know how deceptive he's being right now? Does he know how insanely deceptive it is? One, whenever we complain about 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds and so on, he instantly just goes to anyone under the age of 18 and starts saying like we're talking about the same thing there. But two, also this idea, which is like rampant. This is like standard Dawa. Anytime you bring something up, oh, but 300 years ago, this happened in Europe. So how can you complain? I can complain about it. I absolutely can complain. And you agree. You don't believe in your own methodology. You don't believe that you can say, well, if people did it in the past, therefore you can't complain about it now. You don't believe that just because people drank alcohol, that you can't complain about alcohol. You don't believe that just because lots of people eat pork, that you can't complain about. You don't believe what you're saying. You don't believe the entire methodology, and yet you're using it. Which means you're either so insanely stupid that you don't realize how hypocritical you're being, or you do know it and you just know that your followers are so insanely stupid that they won't pick up on it.
Exactly.
Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But guess what? It's not just your past; it's your present as well. It's the present as well. Really? And here you see a picture of hold on.
Our present. Cheerleader. Our present. So just to be clear, in the present, it's common for us to be allowing and celebrating, promoting 54-year-old men having sex with 9-year-old girls. That's the main issue with what we're talking about with Muhammad and Aisha. That's common. That's a common thing, because I don't know. I don't know what I don't see this. So he's about to give the evidence right here.
Is he showing an example of that in cheerleaders?
These are prepubescent 9-year-old cheerleaders who are about to go back and consummate marriage with a bunch of 54-year-old creepy old men. And we're all going to be fine with that because we're hypocrites.
This is his defense of child marriage. He's going to say, well, you guys are cheerleading, so what's wrong with child marriage? So yeah, get ready for this.
Cheerleader. So I did a little rant on Destiny, and he's on the left wing, but guess what? These right-wing conservatives, they're also hypocrites. These right-wing Christian conservatives, they're even arguably the bigger the hypocrites, because they claim that, oh, the left wing is so bad. The left wing is sexualizing children. And, oh, the left wing, you're going in pride parades, and there are kids at these pride parades. This is so bad. This is so wrong. This is constantly the rant of the right-wing Christian conservatives. And obviously, I'm sympathetic to those kinds of critiques of LGBT and pride parades, etc., and the sexualization of children, by the way. But American culture is full of this trash. American good.
Pause. Now, there is one thing that I will agree with here with Daniel Haqiqatjou, and I have held this position and thought the same thing for a long time. I said this before, I think that the whole culture of cheerleaders, or girls being trained to become cheerleaders and things like that in such environments, in school or in sports environments, is a dumb culture. I think it's pretty stupid. I think it sexualizes girls. I think it puts them into this whole position of, let the guys do this whole thing, and you guys, you are there for entertainment, while being cute and jumping around and wearing these things. I totally agree, and I think that when people are outraged about certain over sexualizations of little kids, they should also be outraged about the whole cheerleader culture. I agree on that, and I do indeed think that it is hypocritical if people accept this but criticize the other stuff. However, what in the world does this have to do with the subject that we are talking about? How in the world is this remotely an equivalent of the topic of marrying and having sex with little children?
He literally thinks because you allow cheerleaders, therefore you should also allow child marriage, because it's the same. We're just sexualizing children. Therefore, we should be okay with what they do with children. That's the logic. It's just knee-jerk whataboutism. That's all they do at this point. You point out problems with Islam, problems with what they say, knee-jerk. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Like, listen, that stuff can be bad too, but there's also like a degree of how bad it is. Like cheerleading, yes, it's over-sexualizing for sure. It should be toned down. Absolutely. I think a lot of Christians would be on board with that. However, it's nowhere near as bad as child marriages. It's nowhere near as a 54-year-old wanting to have sex with a 9-year-old. Like, this doesn't even compare. But that's what he's trying to do. That's how desperate he is to justify child marriage.
Yeah, this is this whole black and white thinking again, where he takes one bad thing and then makes it look like, look, there's this one, there's this bad thing, which is obviously just as bad as this other bad thing. There is no gray, there is no middle ground, there is nothing at all. It's either it's either you are for a complete sexualization of kids or teenagers or whatever, or you are fully against it in every single way. Meaning, if you oppose child marriage, if you oppose marrying and having sex with a 3-year-old, then you are also with the same force, with the same commitment, supposed to oppose and equally hate cheerleader culture, for example, which is just stupid. You can disagree with one thing on a certain level, and with the other thing on a much more forceful level, because it is significantly more severe than the cheerleader aspect. But I just wanted to point out, so like how you ended up with a culture with 11-year-old girls as cheerleaders and so on. So back in the day, you have football, and you got a football team, professional football team and stuff. And some of the teams have cheerleaders, not all the teams, but some of the teams have cheerleaders and so on. But then, you start having high school teams and so on. And so you got high school teams, and they're like preparing for
for later on when they're going to play at college and stuff like this. And so you got these younger players and stuff. But then, oh, okay, well, we need the cheerleaders too. So you have cheerleaders, and it's the same thing with the cheerleaders. Some of these are preparing for the future when they're going to be cheerleaders and so on in college and so on. Then, you end up getting Little League and so on, and you end up getting, younger girls cheerleading. And this would kind of only be like a serious issue in that there are people who would be like Daniel, who might be apparently checking out girls who are young in cheerleader outfits or something like that, because lots of guys aren't going to be paying, oh my goodness, look at this 10-year-old girl in the cheerleader outfit and so on. Anyway, so that's one issue. But yeah, we're talking about degrees here. We're talking about degrees. If someone was talking about having sex with these, or like creepy old guys old enough to be their grandfathers having sex with these girls, that would be in a different category. Guess what, Daniel? There would be national outrage if we were saying, oh, and whoever wins the team, whoever wins the game, then those girls get to get banged by 50-some-year-old guys. There would be international outrage about that, Daniel, because that would be more comparable to what you're talking about in Islam. But to go in the other direction, let me go ahead and say, if what we read in the Muslim sources was not that Muhammad penetrated Aisha when she was 9 years old, but that Aisha was on the side of some battle cheering for the Muslims during the battle, and she had a skirt on and was cheering, we wouldn't be raising the same objection, Daniel, because unlike you, we understand that there are degrees of badness here. And that I would say, hey, what's going on with this? What's going on with Aisha being in a skirt cheering for the battle? What's going on with you guys who claim, to support modesty and stuff? I might point it out like that. Would not be anywhere near the issue as your pattern of conduct, putting his penis inside of a 9-year-old girl. Totally different. And the fact that you cannot distinguish between the two is part of the problem here.
Well, so if you have a problem with having sex with 4-year-old children, then why are you not talking every day about cheerleaders? Are you a hypocrite? It's kind of funny that the whole photo here, which he took of cheerleaders and then blurred, was totally not necessary to make the point. But of course, Haqiqatjou was probably very interested in that.
Yeah, and the fact that he had to sift through pictures of cheerleaders on his browsing history. Oh, look at that picture of that.
I don't want to use
this one particularly.
Remember, he did it on his Predator laptop too.
Yeah. Yeah. Check the search history on Daniel's Predator laptop if you want to wash your eyeballs out with bleach.
Good old American values. Good old American values.
Oh, hey, he's imitating the Muslim cowboy. He's being the Muslim cowboy. This is funny. Oh, I love it when Muslims make fun of other Muslims. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Good old American values. Good old American values. Go to the football game. Go there to the football. Watch some football. High school football. It's big in here in Texas. We got.
He's talking about high school.
And
so he's talking about high school. So he's talking about girls who are 15, 16, 17, 18 on the sidelines, and they're wearing skirts. And this, in Daniel's mind, if you are not out protesting in the streets or calling them pedophiles, even though these are girls who've gone through puberty and aren't having this game has nothing to do with them having sex. They're just in skirts. So if you aren't out complaining about pubescent girls cheering for a game in some sort of skirt, how in the name of common sense can you complain about Muslims sexually penetrating 4- and 5-year-olds? You hypocrites. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Well, how about that?
I mean, this is kind of like it's kind of like what Jesus said in reverse. He said, get the log out of your eye before you get the speck out of someone else's. Like, Daniel, there's a log coming out of his law, child marriage, sleeping with 9-year-olds. And you're upset about skirts on a 16 or 17-year-old. Like, get a grip. Like, this is not comparable. This is ridiculous.
Here's the thing, IP. Here's the thing. He is upset about girls being cheerleaders, right? He finds that, this is what's amazing. He finds that revolting and disgusting. We need to blur that out. He finds it revolting and disgusting that a grown woman would even show her face. He finds that like morally repugnant. How could this grown 40-year-old woman show her face in public. This is completely immoral. 50-some-year-old guys sticking their penises inside a 4- and 5-year-old girl. No. That's totally fine. Why would anyone have a problem with that? And if you brought it up to him, be like, well, you don't have a problem with a 40-year-old woman showing her face. How could you have a problem with a 54-year-old guy sticking his penis inside a 4-year-old? You hypocrites. Guys, have you ever seen a more massively malfunctioning moral compass than what you get with the Dawa guys?
Yes.
And
Well, David,
we have?
I just want to call out your hypocrisy. If you are so much against child marriage, then why don't you have a problem with university professors wearing skirts and lecturing?
That's true. It's the same thing. I apologize. I have done wrong, brothers and sisters.
You see, he's crying.
I have failed.
Oh boy.
And what do we have here?
Well, Muslim cowboy.
Muslim cowboy.
There's your soundbite.
How about that?
Look at those cheerleaders. Oh, well, these cheerleaders, by the way, I have to blur it out. You can see their underwear when they're gyrating and jostling and doing all these dances.
How do you know, Daniel? How do you know, Daniel?
Well, I looked at all of them pictures. I
had to look at them. I had to inspect every single picture. I had to search young girl in cheerleader outfit on Google. And then I had to
all on my hard drive.
I had to go through thousands and thousands of images.
I had to find just the right one.
Oh boy.
Twerking there in front of the audience, in front of the crowd. All these good old American football. We got to have our cheerleaders, of course. Guess what? All those cheerleaders are underage.
Are they children twerking there? That's what he found.
That's what he thinks.
Are they for, Daniel? Are they for? Because you defend sex with 4-year-olds. So, are you saying that are those girls there for? We're all staring at them.
It's been a while since I've been in high school, but I never remember cheerleaders twerking. They did like that stuff, like barely any hip movements, if I recall. Like, I don't know what he thinks goes on here, but it's not what he's talking about.
I'm sure there are places. I don't pay attention to high school football, but I'm sure there are places where they twerk and stuff like that. It's just regardless, a high school where girls are twerking. What are you talking about? You're talking about girls that have gone through puberty and are not there having sex, and you're comparing that to having sex with 4-year-olds and saying it's the same thing. If you have a problem with one, you have to have a problem with the other. And that's insane. That's beyond insane to say that if you think it's okay, well, not even if you think it's okay. If you're not out there enraged at a 16-year-old girl who's wearing a skirt and doing cheers, if you're not enraged about that, you can't possibly have any moral objection to a guy in his 50s having sex with a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old.
Cheers, mate.
This guy's nuts, man. This guy's nuts. Guys, if you don't take away anything else from this discussion, look at the Dawa guy. Almost all the Dawa guys are like this. They all have this kind of moral insanity where nothing makes sense. And then they impose this on their followers. And then it's very difficult to reason with their followers because they're morally depraved.
Mm-hmm.
Age. So what? Why do you have that? Like, isn't that sexualizing children? You're sexualizing children. These are minors.
4-year-olds?
And you're watching them dance and gyrate in these mini skirts,
is that
bending
bad?
Over for your entertainment?
Is that bad?
That's acceptable? And don't tell me, it's.
But
it's
hey,
not
hang
for
on.
Is it bad to sexualize children?
But Daniel, my grandfather was at a school and they had cheerleaders, so I'm not allowed to object, remember? I'm not allowed to have any problem with it because it happened at some time before me. So I just realized, you know what? I can't say anything because it happened before me. And therefore, following your rule, Daniel, that's your rule. You're the guys who came up with the rule that if anyone who came before you did something, you're not allowed to have a moral objection to it. You guys tell us that. And now you're telling us we should be enraged at girls who've gone through puberty doing cheers on a sideline wearing skirts.
And it's like he's getting mad because there's like a leak in our house. Meanwhile, his house is flooded because child marriage is 10 times, 100 times worse than whatever he's talking about here. And like it's so ridiculous. Like, yeah, I don't think girls should be sexualized. I have a lot of problems with the modern cheerleading world, as AP mentioned earlier. I think it goes too far. But there are so many worse things like child marriage, child rape, pedophilia. These are far more important things that need to be dealt with before we deal with these minor things over here. Again, it's the log and the speck thing. Okay, child marriage is a log. He's talking about a speck, and he's basically doing exactly what Jesus said the Pharisees do. They have these logs in their eyes, and they're milking at all the specks. Daniel's got this giant log in his eye, child marriage, and he just goes around with his whataboutism. And he's like, oh, but you and your American Western cultures, you've got these specks here that need to be dealt with. Yeah, they do, but there's a log in your eye. Like, seriously, do a valid comparison for once.
IP, if you're against marrying and having sex with 3-year-olds, then why are you okay with girls going to school? You see?
And just wanted to point out, because people need to learn this fallacy. This is another version of the when he keeps saying, oh, but these girls are under the age of 18. These girls, because he's talking about high school girls here. It's another version of the motte-and-bailey fallacy. So the motte-and-bailey fallacy, the motte and the motte-and-bailey fallacy. That's like this little defensive tower for you could flee into it, and then you're in a tower, and if someone tries to get you, you can drop stuff on them and so on. And then you have the surrounding area, the surrounding village, that's the bailey. And so the idea is you have an army coming in, you can retreat from the bailey, you don't need to defend that as much, and you go and you retreat into your stronghold, where there's a kind of fallacy where you have this big position that you're defending, in this case child marriage and so on. And then when you're criticized, you run back into, oh, but, sexualizing girls who are under the age of 18 isn't terrible. Even you guys would not have a terrible problem with a 17-year-old being a cheerleader. So so how I could just defend the position like that. Dude, we're talking about you defending sex with 4-year-olds, which you said is okay. You, Daniel Haqiqatjou, have said that it's okay to have sex with a 4-year-old girl. We're jumping all over. And guess what? Saying it's okay to have sex with 4-year-olds would be worse than saying it's okay to start having sex at 9-year-olds. It's still gross to say it's still gross and unacceptable and wrong to say it's okay to have sex with 9-year-olds, but it's worse to say that about 4-year-olds and so on. And so there are degrees here. There are degrees of wrongness here. And we're pointing out that what you're saying about 4-year-olds is insane and disgusting and violates everything we know about what is safe for 4-year-olds. And so we're blasting on that, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 9. And you're saying, oh, but, here's a high school girl who's doing cheers. So you hypocrites.
Cheers.
When I enter heaven, I want to hear. Did you guys see Destiny's tweets the other day? Yeah, where he went crazy. He was attacking the Trump supporters and the guy that got shot, and was just like saying all sorts of horrible things about the father who died, because he may have not said some nice things in the past. So he wants to drag his reputation through the mud after this guy died defending his family. It's really messed up. Yeah,
pretty slimy, disgusting thing to say. With that said, block this guy, David the Wingaling, for putting Wingaling beside my picture.
It's libel, defamation.
I saw that Destiny was going through some rough times and saying some really messed up things just to make people angry. Apparently, he was doing all of that to make a point. I haven't followed the issues far enough to see what point exactly he was making. It was no matter what point he's making, it was a little bit much.
He was just on Piers Morgan to discuss that, right? I haven't seen it, but I think he went on Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan was discussing that with him. So anyway, it might be something to cover in a future live stream here.
Yeah, even Matt Dillahunty was calling him out. Like, this is ridiculously stupid. So I mean, like, atheist Christians, everyone was saying he was messed up. Yeah. It's libel. It's defamation. Worst lawyer in history. Daniel Haqiqatjou defending his client who reported his own pedophilia in the world's second most read book. Yeah. That's nonsense comes from the ridiculous lack of accountability or concerns of self-control in Islam. Slut shaming and victim blaming logically follow. Yeah, I've noticed that. There's a lot of just blaming the women for showing too much ankle or nose. That's the problem. And it's the same thing with what Daniel's doing here. He's basically saying, like, you're having these girls wear skirts, so men are going to sexualize them. Hey, why don't you learn self-control? Like, when I see like high school girls, like, I don't feel tempted because I know self-control and I'm not attracted to minors anyway. Like, it's called self-control. Learn it. Like, why can't that be the solution here? Why is it always, well, the girls can't do their sports. They can't do volleyball or swimming because they could tempt men. Like, well, maybe the men should learn self-control. Maybe that should be a very, very important part of the equation there. I'm all for modesty. Yeah. I'm all for keeping grown, disgusting men away from oogling little girls, but also learn some self-control and learn to be an adult is another simple solution.
Yeah, and just because they work in mines, that doesn't mean you have to kind of sexually approach them or anything. They are people too. Right?
Have you all seen the accusations?
IP didn't get it.
No, I didn't get it. No.
He's talking when you say miners, he starts making a joke like they're like coal miners, and just because they work in mines, that's the that's AP's sophisticated German Turkish sense of humor.
Who's making that joke?
Matches his hat. Have you all seen the accusations of Muhammad being into necrophilia? I've seen some using Sahih al-Bukhari 1285 as an accusation for it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, the main one that people use is from Kansal Umul, where a woman's put into a grave and everyone's worried because she was a pagan, and they're worried if she's going to go to paradise. And Muhammad says, "Don't worry, I'll go down into her grave and sleep with her." And apparently, this is all secondhand. I've heard from people who say it, who are familiar with the language and so on, but they say that sleep with her is like English, and that it can mean sleep with her. I'm just going to go sleep beside her or something like that. Or it can mean like sexually or something like that. So I've heard that, but I mean, think about the reason. The reasoning is, I'll go lay with her, and that way she'll be one of mine in paradise, and so you don't have to worry about her going to hell. She's going to be with me in paradise because she's going to be counted one of my brides or something like that. But yeah, these are all things I've just heard. I mean, I've seen the source, but I'd be taking other people's word for it. I put it this way: I wouldn't put anything past the dude. There's nothing. Like Muslims will, you give a source to a Muslim and say, "Hey, look what Muhammad did." And they're like, "No, he's so perfect." Like, I'm dealing with a guy that I think is one of the most morally depraved individuals in history. So when you say something, there's nothing that's shocking anymore.
Mm-hmm. The hadith that we were talking about that was in the super chat here is about the one narration where it doesn't talk about sleeping with her or lying with her. It's just about the person, the woman dies, and Muhammad asks, "Is there one among you who hasn't had sexual relations with his wife last night?" And on the surface, when reading, it sounds very, very weird, but pretty sure, from my understanding, I haven't ever looked into that very deeply. But when I would read it from an Islamic perspective, what I would understand it is that it is about washing. It's about ritual washing, because after you have sex, you are supposed to wash yourself completely, your whole body to be pure again, and only in that state can you handle a dead body or something like that. So it's probably related to that.
Yeah, I will have to add very quickly though that this will be another one of those issues where so it gets pointed out, like in the one about going down into the grave. This is Muhammad says he'll sleep with her or lay with her, and that can mean multiple things, and we give the benefit of the doubt. This is going to be one of those issues where no more benefit of the doubt. We just flat out declare Muhammad was banging dead women, because anything that had a hole, he was that sick and depraved. And
Muhammad
no
was
more benefit
inviting
of the doubt.
people to have sex with the dead body. You see.
Muhammad walking around a courtroom in lingerie and high heels. Haqiqatjou, Your Honor, my client is cold and is warming up in a blanket currently. Trump got shot the other day. Where are David Wood and the apostate prophet to condemn this Republican phobic attack? You see, yes.
This is a parody of Sheikh Uthman when he was allegedly stabbed. The first thing he did was to publish a video and they're like, and where are David Wood and Apostate Prophet and the Islamophobes speaking about this and condemning this? We didn't even know about it. It's like news are not even out there. It's he just announces it, and with his announcement, he calls us out. So,
Yeah, that's a common tactic I see. They like some of them have tried to do that to me. Like I got sick one weekend, and then like I come back on, and people were like, "Why didn't IP condemn this Instagram post? He got like 1 like," and I'm like, it's literally what happened. We got 1, and I'm like, what is going on? Are you guys this stupid? Like that's Dawa for you. That was actually the Muslim cowboy who tried that nonsense because he's not that bright.
Wales Muslim cowboy. Little
John says, "Ah, sheik da."
No,
Dayas.
Skeet.
Skeet. Dayas said, Momo, hold my Zamzam water.
Yeah, so he's referring, Lil John, talk about Skeet. Diha is apparently Muhammad's boyfriend. There are all these passages. This come up, we just recorded Muhammad Meets Queers for Palestine, and
that was fabulous.
Yeah, and the issue of Diha came up, but Diha is one of the most handsome guys in Arabia, this handsome young man, and Muhammad would have Diha over and would train his wives. Hey, who do you see here in the house with me? And they would go, Diha al-Kalbi. And he'd go, no. That's the angel Gabriel. And people would see him saying, hey, I know you were at one of your private meetings behind the curtain with Diha al-Kalbi. I didn't want to interrupt you. And Muhammad would say, no, that's the angel Gabriel. And one time, one of his companions walked in and found Muhammad asleep on the lap of Diha al-Kalbi. And then Diha's like, oh, okay, here, I don't want to disturb him. So here, let me just ease on out. And you put, let me rest his head on your lap and so on. And then later on, Muhammad's, yeah. That was the angel Gabriel you were talking to there. And it's like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? Like everyone who sees the angel Gabriel with you when you're going behind your curtain for your private meetings, that's their word, private meetings with this guy. Oh, it's actually the angel Gabriel. And you have to constantly explain it to everyone, your wives, your companions. It doesn't catch on that, hey, anytime we see Muhammad going back there back in the back room with Diha, it's actually the angel Gabriel. It's like, oh my goodness, are you serious? So yeah, I started off thinking this is kind of like just a joke to make fun of Muhammad. Then I was kind of like 50-50 on whether he was actually getting banged by Diha al-Kalbi. And then now I'm looking at like it really looks like he was doing something with Diha, and then just made up this ridiculous excuse because by that time his followers were so brainwashed that just imagine what this would be equivalent to. Like your wife says, hey, I just saw so-and-so coming out of the house, sneaking out of the window in the middle of the night. What's going on here? Oh yeah, that was an angel. Yeah, that was an angel. Yeah, that was an angel. Like, but I know who that was. That's the guy from work, blah, blah. No, it was an angel. Just believe me. Just believe me. It's like insane.
But David, for 1,400 years, people didn't criticize it, and now you come and point this out. So this means it was totally normal and accepted.
Yes,
totally
and
normal.
hey, I mean, years ago, some guy banged some other guy. So how could you complain about it now?
Yeah.
What do you guys believe is the most literal English Bible or Quran translations? Plus, Daniel, he'll kick a blank, would make his PDF file Mopus proud. What do you guys think is the best? I mean, I like the NASB or ESV is kind of what I go with.
Yeah.
I don't know about Quran translations.
Yeah, ESV. So guys, on the Bible spectrum, you've got translations that try to basically translate like literally, like whatever the passage is, they translate that. And then you have versions that try to translate it according to the meaning, because we've talked about this like lots of times before, where some things, if you translate literally, people might not understand them. Like the example that I've seen is in French. If you say like, I've got the cockroach, there's a phrase like, I've got the cockroach, and it means something like I'm depressed. So that would be a situation where if you were translating French and the person said, I've got the cockroach, and you said, okay, how do I translate this? Do you translate it as I've got the cockroach, which would be the literal translation, but people aren't going to understand it? Or do you translate it as I feel depressed, which isn't literal, but it gives the same meaning? So these are the kinds of decisions that Bible translators have to make. And when you go kind of literal translation, it gets kind of choppy because it gets kind of wooden and choppy because, Greek doesn't always translate, flowingly to smoothly into English and so on. So it kind of depends on what you like. If I'm just reading, I prefer the literal translations like ESV or NASB. If I'm quoting passages like for a video or something like that, sometimes I'll go to NIV because it's usually like pretty smooth or something like that. As far as Quran translations, weirdly enough, I hear the Pickthall praised a lot for being, wow, it's like Pickthall's right on the money here as far as what this means. Even here, you do have issues where sometimes it's rare to give a literal translation, like in the Quran where it says that Allah prays and so on. It's very rare to just translate that as Allah and his angels pray. So lots of times they're putting their own meaning into it. But as far as Quran translations, you have the hard line like Salafi translations that will try to translate literally, but then they'll add like tons of commentary and so on. And then Pickthall seems pretty good. And then you have the translations that try and, mess around with things a little bit. But I usually just, if it's a confusing passage or something like that, I usually would just look at multiple Quran translations.
Yeah. He constantly yaps about puberty. He's lying because Hanafi, Maliki, and Shafi schools claim that puberty has nothing to do with consummating of marriage. And Hannibal, I don't know how to say that, claim you only need to wait 9-year mark, not puberty. So yeah, these are the different madhabs, I believe they are called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in Sunni Islam.
What's it about the 9-year mark? So there is no, according to the different schools of jurisprudence in Islam, so there is no age limit, and there is also no puberty limit. It is usually historically the way it is seen is that you are supposed to wait until it is safe to have sexual intercourse with the girl. And of course, David likes to go into the details of it very often because he's a psychopath. But it's very much about whether the girl can physically take it that you have sex with her or not. And there's usually authorities should normally warn against it and tell you to wait until the girl seems fine enough, so she can be small but not so small that she permanently breaks. It's really that horrible. And the parents can also withhold the girl until she reaches such a state, until the parents say, okay, she is ready, you can have her now, you can now have sex with her. However, in the Islamic schools, the age 9 only comes up insofar that they say if the girl reaches the age of 9 and she is married, then the parents no longer have the right to withhold her because of the tradition, because of the sunnah of Muhammad having married Aisha and consummated the marriage at the age of 9. So until the age of 9, the parents can still say, hold on, don't have sex with her, wait a little bit more. If she reaches the age of 9, the parents no longer have any right.
I think I heard something bouncing or something hitting the table.
That's AP. He has a jittery leg when he gets nervous.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go back to the video, play some more of this.
It's not for the 50-year-old, the 40-year-old adult sitting in the audience. Oh no, it's for the high school students, the football players. And let's not just limit it to high school, because in middle school they have cheerleaders too. Down here in the good old South, in the good old USA, cheerleaders are
that's where we go scouting for grandmas, because we're not going for wives in middle school. You know what I'm saying?
Let's see, 7th grade, that's 12 years old. 11 and 12-year-old cheerleaders, short skirts, gyrating, dancing with their pom-poms. This is completely normal. Good old American South, conservative country.
And it's exactly the same thing as a 54-year-old man banging a little 4, 5, 6-year-old girl. There is no difference whatsoever.
It's the most ridiculous comparison ever. Like I've ever seen him try to do. Like, it's lost his mind. This is how desperate they get to defend something that's just obviously immoral.
We like our cheerleaders. Yeah.
You guys should clip that
Hey,
soundbite
that's
right
your
there.
quote. That's no. We all had the exact same thought right there. We all had. You do not need to explain that.
All right, time marker 41:25, so we all know. Oh God.
Yeah. Why don't I see any conservatives calling out this sexualization of children? You Christian conservatives, you're so concerned about Islam, and you have a lot to say about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Daniel,
Yeah,
yes,
you're
yes,
going
Daniel, I agree. Yes, Daniel, I agree. I think I agree. I think you should continue, and you should call out conservatives on that, and you should say, "Hey, guys, why is nobody talking about this? This, in my opinion, is a terrible and disgusting thing." However, this is in no way at all comparable to the issue of having sex with little girls and marrying them. So,
Yeah, the logic is you guys let them wear skirts and dance, therefore we should be allowed to bang them. Like, in fact, the logic is basically because it'd be better for you to let us marry and bang them than to let them wear skirts. That's far worse in Daniel's mind. They could have pom-poms and wear skirts.
It's way worse. It's way worse.
Banging
a 4-year-old in Daniel's mind is nothing compared to a 25-year-old woman not walking around with a head covering on.
Based.
There in the stands, and the cheerleaders. Look, this is a
he keeps
huge
looking over
performance that they have. If you look like,
yes,
freak.
Look at that.
I mean, look at that.
Nice,
I mean, look, and what did he say earlier? And yes, it's safe to say that. Oh, look, there's the panties. Oh. There's the panties. And I personally know when I'm sitting under the bleachers looking up, I can see girls' panties. I mean, how is this acceptable if you have a problem with having sex with 4-year-old girls? What? I mean, what, are you guys crazy?
I blurted, obviously, but they're standing, on this tower, creating this tower and doing flips. And part of the flips are, you're going to see. Why do you think they're wearing skirts? Why do you think they're wearing skirts and not like a jumpsuit or like some baggy clothes? No. They're wearing skirts. And
that's right, folks. Cheerleaders need to be in hijab. Like, they need to be fully covered in these giant hijabs, burqas, that kind of stuff. That's what they need. That's how you can only do girl sports.
Showing their bodies and doing all this. Oh, it's American tradition. As American is
right.
Not like the Muslim tradition of 54-year-old guys banging little girls.
Yeah, why are they hanging out there with their skirts? We should be having sex with them.
Yeah, these girls out here should be at home having their 5th kid already with a dirty old geezer like Muhammad. Dirty old Heaven's Gate looking creep.
So this is the hypocrisy, and it's not just cheerleading. By the way, it's not just cheerleading.
Daniel, hypocrisy is something along the lines of, I'm condemning you for something that I'm doing, or I'm condemning you for supporting something that I support. That would be somehow in the realm of hypocrisy. Saying, I condemn you and your religion for supporting sex with 4-year-olds. That doesn't mean you're a hypocrite if simultaneously you're not marching through the streets enraged that girls in high school are cheerleaders. It's not the same thing, Daniel. And if your followers think it is, then it's almost like they deserve what they get. If they're that stupid and brainwashed, and they accept that as a response, I don't know. It's like the Dawa fans. You've got the Dawa Ganists, you've got the Dawa fans. It's like the Dawa fans are just wake up every morning. Please deceive me more. Please, Dawa Ganists, deceive me more. I just want to be deceived. I want to remain my entire life in a state of complete ignorance and deception, because that's what my religion calls me to. That's the message that the rest of us are getting when we see this. This is your religion. Your religion, the entire goal of your religion is to keep people as ignorant and deluded and deceptive as possible. And you think that this is a sign that your religion is the truth.
And there's also no evidence cheerleading girls' sports is causing immense harm, like child marriage, pedophilia, are the things Daniel wants to defend and say are better. Like in his perfect dystopia, you would have child marriage and pedophilia basically all around. No cheerleading. Yet there's no evidence that what he's upset about here is causing immense harm like child marriage does. There's no evidence. Like this is like, again, it's comparing a log to a speck.
It's just always kind of creepy to me that somebody like Daniel Haqiqatjou will address a topic like this and go on and ramble and go on about it and talk about it while putting a picture of it up there and then blurring it. And then it's like the audience, the viewers are not supposed to look at the picture, but hey, me, I do look at it. I do look at all of them, and I put them right here on the video. And this is a very important topic that I like to talk about for a long period of time. Speaking of period, anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Kind of slow on his text.
Oh.
Like this is, he doesn't talk about this. He moves on, but this is his logic. You have liberal former, slavery and minor marriage. Don't worry, and it's gonna you reject slavery and minor marriage, you're gonna eventually become atheists. Like that's Daniel's logic. If you are a Christian and slavery and minor marriage, what's gonna stop you from becoming an atheist, ladies and gentlemen? It's just the logical conclusion. That's what he thinks here. I couldn't believe when I saw him accidentally put this up. I'm like, this is so stupid. This is a slippery. Like it's another fallacy. Daniel just relies on endless fallacies.
We'll talk about that later.
Because that's what my religion calls me to. Yeehaw!
Yeah, so you have cheerleaders. You also have girls' sports in general. Again, as young as 11, 10 years old, because it starts in middle school with girls' sports, you put these little girls in swimsuits and you have a swim team. You put these girls in swimsuits and they do water polo.
And then they do water polo. I was about to joke. I was about to make fun of him for saying something. And then they'll do water polo. And he actually said it. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Like, I have never heard of guys being super tempted or lustful because there's a middle school girls swim team somewhere.
This is a great emergency.
It's like that doesn't happen. Guys don't just go hang out at the weekend and watch girls' sports. That's actually a running gag in the U.S. No one watches women's sports. Like it's a huge running gag. Like everyone watches the NBA, but not the WNBA. Like there aren't men clamoring to watch women's sports because we have self-control in the West. Unlike, I guess, in Islam where you see an ankle, oh my goodness, it's over.
Girls in these tiny shorts, these booty shorts, and play volleyball.
He seems to know a lot about panties and booty shorts and all this stuff.
Well, this just proves that IP is totally wrong here when he says that people don't go around watching women's sports. Of course, Daniel does. He has been doing it forever. In his free time, he goes around hiding somewhere and watching women or little girl do sports. Alhamdulillah.
All the dads, any brothers, any older siblings, teachers, the coaches, male coaches come because, these American men are so fascinated by 11-year-olds playing volleyball. They're so it's just interesting. I just watch for the competition. I'm just watching these wonderful, talented girls playing volleyball, playing water polo. I just love the sport.
He's talking about parents going and watching their children perform sports.
And that means, I guess in his view, he doesn't think it's possible to do that without committing lust or like oogling them. Like, I guarantee 90% of the parents don't want to be there. They're there to support their child. Yeah. Like, if any group of parents saw some creepy guy with, I don't know, a beard and that smile on his face in the crowd staring at the girls playing volleyball,
don't do that in Texas.
They'd call security immediately. Like, no one is there that's not a family member or like a mentor or a teacher. And anytime anyone looks suspicious, people immediately get suspicious of that person. This is not like an epidemic in American culture where grown men are just filling the bleachers of middle school sports teams. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, what is going on?
So far, Daniel Haqiqatjou has drawn everyone's attention to certain national emergencies, such as a bunch of 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds having sex everywhere in schools, then Christians peeing on walls everywhere, and then also people going around and watching little girls engage in sports to lust after them. So these are very, very serious emergencies.
Especially just the way he's talking about it. I mean, and I mean, just think about it. Just think about it. Those girls in their little skirts, and you look down there and you see their panties, and they're twerking right in front of you. And I mean, think about this. I mean, think about it. I mean, I have to go, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back in 5 minutes. It's like, dude, you are so freaking creepy the way you're talking about this stuff.
That's what I mean when I say
love of the game.
Look at him.
What?
Look at him. Everything he says, he's, oh my goodness. I don't know.
Game. This is what they're, these girls in tiny shorts. Why are they wearing tiny shorts exactly? Is that
for
necessary
you to
for
watch
volleyball?
them,
Like,
Oh, volleyball now?
Yeah, he's upset that girls wear shorts playing volleyball.
it's for the love of the game.
How do you know what girls wearing volleyball, Daniel?
These girls
how's he so up to
tiny
date on all this
shorts.
stuff? It reminds me of hijab when he was talking about the golden showers and the gimp this and the gimp that and all this stuff. And it's like people in the chat were like, I just made the mistake of looking up what he was saying because I didn't know what he was talking about. Ooh, and it's like, how is he so up to date on all this stuff that normal people are not familiar with at all? And Daniel is apparently the world's leading authority on what teenage girls or middle school girls are doing on their various teams. And anyway,
I think I went to like one volleyball game in high school, like the girls' team.
One more than I went to.
I don't remember them wearing booty shorts. I remember them wearing like a baggy shorts, or that were like above their knee, so they could move around. Like
they're wearing lingerie. Trust Daniel.
Well,
they're wearing thongs.
Usually women. So in adult, volleyball, women wear shorter shorts when they play volleyball, and men also wear shorts. My question to Daniel is just, why are the men wearing shorts? Do they have to wear shorts?
Yes, trying to tempt us like Dia Al-Kalbi. No, everyone, I wasn't looking at that volleyball player and his little shorts. I was looking at the angel Gabriel. Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's that men usually this is my guess. Men wear longer shorts or slightly longer shorts when they play these sports because of different issues.
Well, remember this guy? Maybe the men should not be wearing shorts because this poor Turkish Islamic preacher is very tempted by beardless men. Maybe also if he sees some legs, maybe if he goes to a swimming competition where men have to shave their legs, he might really be tempted. But of course, remember Bruce Ryan's study that Daniel cited for years until we called him out for it. How they note in there that in Muslim societies, there's documentation showing that men's attraction to boys was considered as natural as their attraction to women. Like this kind of stuff. So maybe boys need to cover up in Islamic societies and stop wearing shorts or swimsuits because it could be tempting to the Islamic men. I mean,
well, by the way, IP, you may be joking here, but that is an actual serious issue. There are these clips of these men saying that's why Muslims have to wear beards, because if not, then you look like a girl to them. So the question is, well, what do you think about young people? Young people don't have beards. So if someone doesn't have a beard, then he looks like an object of your sexual attraction. What would you do with young people? So that is an issue. It's like, until someone has a beard, also, culturally, this is in certain areas. This is not universal in Islam, but in some areas, namely Pakistan, if you do not have a beard yet, they do not consider you gay for being attracted to that person.
Remember, this is the study Daniel was quoting to justify child marriage for years. It says desire for boys, this is in Islamic societies, but not behavior or lust, was permissible under Islam, but behavior was common nevertheless. The tradition eroded in the late 19th century in reaction to Western abhorrence and efforts to modernize. So when Christians started going in, they put an end to this boy lust. Like that's what was ending it. Okay. So Daniel should be thanking the West because of the study he cited. It says this. But, yeah. Let me put this back up here because he keeps going and it just gets really stupid.
Why are they wearing tiny shorts exactly? Is that necessary for volleyball? Like, can't they wear something?
It actually makes it better to perform the sport. Yes.
Right.
It actually makes it easier to perform the sports. That's why they wear shorts. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I grew up in the 90s where we played basketball with like shorts like past our knees. And it's much harder to move around in that than like wearing shorts above your knees. So like it just makes more sense. And like if you have a population of men like in the West that have self-control and we don't like go to the girls' volleyball games or basketball games to lust, because most men don't do that anyway. Like that's like 99%. There's no problem. Like they're not doing sexual things. They're running around a court trying to hit the ball over the net.
Gymnastics. How about that?
Real men, they always look at all the girls and want to have sex with them. Real
all
men
the
like
time.
me.
Yes.
That leaves more to the imagination. Or gymnastics. How about that?
That's a very,
and
very
by the way,
word, by the way.
Keep in mind, has he at any point been talking about grown men, especially old men, actually penetrating anyone that he's talking about here? Whether the volleyball or the gymnastics or the any of this stuff.
Nope. I'd say don't let Daniel watch your children. He's really, really tempted by girls that wear shorts and hit a volleyball around because that's a problem apparently. Like
he seems to study the issue a lot online.
I've never been at like hanging out with guys at a bar, at a party somewhere where they go, "Oh, the volleyball game's happening this weekend. You guys want to go?" Like, no one does that. Like, where does he think? Like, what does he think Western men do? Like, we never do this kind of stuff he talks about.
Hey, Daniel, what is that on your? What are you looking at on your laptop there? What are you doing looking at that on your Predator laptop? Oh, I'm doing research for my next live stream, honey. Now grab your Cabbage Patch doll and go back to bed. You've got first grade in the morning. What a creepazoid.
I want to say every month, every week, you hear about these sex abuse cases. Oh, another middle school student, another high school student was being molested by a teacher. Oh,
what do we do? Do we celebrate it? Do we say, "Oh, it's fine"? Do we say, "Oh, but 50 years ago, a different guy molested a little girl, and therefore we have no basis for complaining"? No, we condemn it. Dude goes to prison. Dude loses his job and goes to prison over that stuff. Daniel, unlike in your country where you'd blame the girl and she'd be the one in trouble.
But every day we hear about this, it's like, really? Is it that big of a problem?
Apparently, I mean, but again, David's right. We condemn it. The guy goes to prison. We don't say, "Oh, that should be normal. They should be getting married." Like that's what Daniel would want.
Happen? How does that really happen? These poor children, like Ryan Garcia was saying, "Oh, that's effed up. Oh, that's messed up. 13-year-old? Oh, you sick perv." Like, I got news for you, Ryan Garcia. Do you know what 13-year-olds are doing in these American schools and these Western schools?
Here it comes again.
They're all banging. They're all banging. Every last one of them.
They're all having.
Oh sex. Yeah. Matter of fact, in that other interview, wasn't he saying it was like second and third graders? They're all just banging and stuff like this. And the research shows that second and third graders, little 8 and 9-year-olds, they're just really sexually active, and so that's why it's okay to marry them to do it.
Yeah, roughly about 15% of girls at 14 have engaged in some sort of sexual activity, intercourse, that is. Younger, it's very, very low. 12, very, very low. And most of the time, it's not voluntary, as this one study shows. So Daniel's just making stuff up. It's not that these girls are being over-sexualized. He's quite exaggerating what the actual data shows.
Even Kim Kardashian pushed back when he brought this up to her. But
what do you keep saying, Kim Kardashian?
But he didn't. But he's still repeating this whole narrative, which is very strange.
Years old, some of these girls have, more experience than your own mother might have had.
What?
Or they've had more experience with the opposite sex. Anyway, so girls sports. Yeah, just watching the.
Why does he want 13-year-old girls to have a lot of experience? Like, he's the only one who's claiming this is what goes on, and the data shows completely different reality.
Isn't it so weird that he always talks about these things and then has this creepy laughter whenever he does this? It's like he's enjoying it so much. It's weird.
The girls' gymnastics, these 12-year-olds in leotards or 15-year-olds. Yeah, these are American institutions. As American,
does he just spend like 3 hours talking about everything he looks at in his entire life, everything he looks at on his computer? Look at it. I mean, look at his face right there when he talks about these things. Look at him. This is him looking at a middle school cheerleader on the sideline. Which father of that middle school cheerleader is not going to walk up and say something to this dude at the very least?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been looking at pictures of little girls dancing and cheerleading all day long. This is a big problem.
And then he's like, "Oh, sir, don't mistake me for a creep. I'm planning on courting your daughter. But she's a little old for me, but I was thinking about getting a fourth wife to take care of my 5-year-old wife."
Oh God.
I don't see any Christian conservatives trying to shut this down or saying, no, only
shut it down.
The only people who can watch these events are under 18 and women. If you're not a woman and you're not under 18, then I don't want you sitting and ogling the gymnastics performance of little Stacy in her leotard.
Who would?
Where is this happening?
He's notice. I mean, he's talking about the girls doing this, and you can understand what he's talking about there. But when he's talking about ogling them and stuff, that would be something different. I mean, that would actually be a situation if there's a game going on and this guy's throwing the game-winning touchdown, and you're sitting here looking at the cheerleaders on the sideline. Someone's probably going to say something to, hey, dude, game's over here, man. You're about to get slapped.
Yeah, dude, it's just reminded me. I was actually in Phoenix one time, like years ago, and I sat on a bench because I was waiting to meet someone. I had to walk somewhere, and I was just going to sit there for a little bit before I had to continue walking where I was going to go. Someone came up to me and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm going that way. I'm just resting here." And he's like, "There's a dance competition in the building behind you for high school girls. We're just making sure there's no creeps around here. Could you move along?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I went. I just left. I was this was in the high school. I didn't even see any girls. And there were guys going around that, I guess parents, I suppose, because this guy looked like a father. And it's just move along. I'm like, you got it.
And you look kind of creepy.
I am a white guy, so yes.
You see, this proves IP admits right here that this is a nationwide problem and that people are going around looking at these dancing girls everywhere.
But I mean, think about it. Everything he says is so detailed. It's so just imagine me. I mean, some random guy. You're sitting here ogling these little girls, and who knows what's going to happen under your poncho where everyone can't see what you're doing under there. This is unacceptable. Oh, but you're fine with that, but not going around and penetrating a 4-year-old? Huh? What's you hypocrites? Dude's nuts.
Where is the Christian outrage? I wonder where
it's
are
kind of
morality police?
It's folk. Our Christian outrage is directed at more dangerous, more extreme things. Daniel, there's only so much rage to go around. We try to direct it at kind of the worst possible things.
That tends to be the mentality. Yeah.
He's on the sexualization of children. I don't see it, and this is the point that I brought up to that retard or that moron inspiring philosophy.
Wait, the guy who schooled you?
Wait.
Yeah, Daniel.
Why did he say retard or that moron? Why is he stumbling on that? And it's retard or moron. Is he not comfortable with saying retard and then he calls you a moron instead? I don't know.
I guess
it's so dumb.
I guess not.
The very guy, as David just pointed out, who made you look like an absolute, I'm going to say it here, retard.
That's who we're talking about. Yep.
I wonder where's the morality police on the sexualization of children? I don't see it, and this is the point that I brought up to that retard or that moron. Inspiring philosophy.
Oh.
Inspiring philosophy, by the way, was
Take
billed
that,
to me as
Inspiring
he's one.
Philosophy. But
What?
huh?
What were you saying?
I said, take that, Inspiring Philosophy. Ha ha! I called him a moron.
And a retard.
But he doesn't support pedophiles, Daniel. Isn't it? By the way, isn't it just a little side note? Isn't it just hilarious that someone who obviously can run circles around him intellectually, and he calls him a moron and a retard?
He's got a signal to his audience, keep them.
But look at his. Oh my goodness! Look at him. Look at him. All you have to do is put a little picture of a little 4-year-old over there on the side with him looking at her like that, and that would be. You wouldn't even be exaggerating.
He got intellectually molested by IP, and yet he's here talking about it. Yeah.
Inspiring philosophy, by the way, was billed to me as he's one of the top Christian apologists. He's like a genius. And I put these points to.
Okay, thanks for. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for saying that people are constantly saying this about me. Okay, great. It really helps your case out.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I asked about Inspiring Philosophy was like, this guy's the smartest of the smart. He's a genius. Be careful. But I mean,
I don't see it.
How smart can he really be when he actually reads the sources that I just read the abstract of and then corrects me on what the source actually says? I mean, how smart can you be when you do that? Everyone knows you just read the abstract and then make up whatever you want. Come on, what an idiot, moron.
If he was smart, he wouldn't have to read the whole paper. He would just go with the abstract.
You just go with the abstract.
Stupid.
I get everything I need just from the abstract, ladies and gentlemen. This nerd has to read everything.
I was cracking up when I first heard this.
Look at his face again. Every single time you freeze it, it looks like he's a freaking pervert looking at a little girl or a little boy or something.
Ugh, gross.
Philosophy, and asked him well, if you have such a problem with minor marriage and child sexuality, then why don't you condemn rampant fornication that's been happening? Don't you think that rampant fornication is as bad, if not worse, than minor marriage?
Then pedophiles having sex with prepubescent girls? No, I don't.
No,
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
And by
I just want to point out normally when you're talking about first of all, nonsense when he's saying, all these 8-year-olds are out banging each other and stuff like that. If you're talking about 13 and 14-year-olds, normally if a 13-year-old is sexually active, it's with another 13-year-old or 14-year-old, something like that, someone from school and so on. So yes, we are not fans of that. Yes, we believe that we believe in doing whatever we can to help kids make the right decisions and so on. But if you're saying that's the same thing as a guy in his 50s having sex with a 4 or 5 or 6-year-old, no. I mean, you hear me just said, don't you think that's worse than some old guy having sex with some 4, 5, 6-year-old? No, we don't. We think the pedophilia is worse than two 13-year-old students having sex with each other. We don't want 2 13-year-olds having sex with each other, but pedophilia is worse.
And when this was brought up in the debate, he just used these 2 random hypotheticals. He didn't tell me the degree, what was involved, what they were doing, this kind of stuff. But here, he brought this question up to the debate, and I immediately condemned it. He didn't want to tell this on his show, but this is what happened.
Okay, so fornication is happening rampantly. Do you have the same kind of feelings of that being evil and wanting to stop it? And you put that big slide about Christians are going to stand against child marriage. I can also put a slide up that says Christians are going to stand against fornication that's happening rampant throughout society.
Yes, we condemn it.
Where?
I'm condemning it right now. Hear me. I'm condemning it.
So, but you didn't think that was more immoral. The child marriage scenario was not more immoral than the fornication.
We're debating child marriage, and I'm pointing out it's immoral. I can also agree fornication.
So you did not.
He's mad that we have he wanted to have a debate on child marriage, and he's mad. Why didn't you have a slide on the problem of fornication? Why were all your slides about child marriage, the very thing we agreed to debate on? Like, even in a debate where he agreed to a topic, he cannot stop the knee-jerk reaction of let me just do whataboutism. Like, he can't even stay on topic.
He's like, we keep pointing out that he's committing, like, everything he says involves a logical fallacy of one variety of another, but it's not just that he's using the logical, it's like he's like the king of using these logical fallacies over and over. They're built into everything. And it's the black and white thinking, it's straw manning, it's what he's right there, and then of course the motte-and-bailey, and every single
slippery slope.
Yeah, every single thing involves is one version of one of 5 fallacies.
You see, David would admit Daniel Haqiqatjou is a king.
The king of the 5 fallacies. Sounds like a good video. Daniel Haqiqatjou, king of the 5 fallacies. Put a crown on him and explain the fallacy. Matter of fact, I just want to point out, IP, you would be perfect for this. Please do it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do it. But like a fallacy tutorial using a guy like this and just naming the fallacy, explaining the fallacy, show him do it like 3 or 4 different times, and then move on, and then go through like 5 fallacies, and then it would make it, if people absorbed it and they could name it, then the next time they're looking at a Dawa guy, they're like, oh, that's that fallacy these guys always use. Oh, that's one of the 5 fallacies these guys they always use. Because I mean, there are tons and tons and tons of fallacies that that you'll find in a logic book. The vast majority, most of them are not things that you hear constantly. There's only a few that you constantly hear, but that means people need to be kind of aware of those. But you can make entire tutorials on fallacious thinking just by watching one talk by a Dawa guy and pointing them out. Anyway,
yeah, ton. 14 years old was mostly only in the frontier, and it was rare and didn't last very long as in practice. Yeah, and this is something I did point out to Daniel in the debate. Like in olden times, 14-year-olds were not getting married on average. This was rare. Girls mostly throughout history have gotten married in their late teens to early 20s. Like around 18 is from what I can tell, the data shows. It's not like 12-year-olds were being married left and right all throughout the ancient world. You did have some cultures that did do stuff like that. However, like, they didn't last quite as long, and it was rare. The majority of people, especially in the Roman and medieval world, late teens to early 20s. I don't know how to say that. Majma al-Zawaid Ali ibn Abu Bakr al.
Pretty good.
I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, well, I'd say you crushed the pronunciation. That's giving you some sort of source for something. If I can find it, I can look it up. But yeah, I'd have to find that first. There's no way I'm typing that all in, and the chat is gone. So, hey, if you want to repost it in the chat, just as a regular chat, then I can look that up.
You see, David Wood cannot type.
Why does Daniel Haqiqatjou have gay mannerisms? Serious questions, like
because his prophet did. Because his prophet did, and he's the moral example in Islam. He's the pattern of conduct.
Yeah. I don't get what this is. You see, he's Mossad, gay pee, shake your booty. I don't get the unless that's referring to something you guys know about.
No, that's earlier on where it was Christian. AP's a Christian and AP's a Jew and Jew pee.
No. My grandfather made my grandmother wait 2 years until she was 16 to get married, even though her parents gave the okay. So no, I don't throw my family into the cesspool. Yeah. I mean, like, that's a million times better than what Muhammad did. That's a million times better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no comparison here. Do Christians worship the same God?
Secular humanists?
No, all the time. Same God as Muslims and Jews. I don't think so. Or it's possibly Jews, because we have the same scriptures. We share the same, like, both share the Tanakh, for example, Hebrew Bible. I'm not convinced Muslims do, because it's good. There's a reason we say Judeo-Christian values and not Judeo-Islamic Christian values, because Islamic beliefs and values are like entirely different from what comes out of the Christian West. It's like, it's insanely different. You could just see this in the sociological studies. and the historical analysis. There's just a total difference there. The overlap between Christianity and Islam is on like stuff in the peripheral, things that are just not essential to either one's religious ideas. Like, oh, we both like Jesus. Yeah, but you don't have atonement. You don't have resurrection. You don't have the resurrection, that is. You don't have the same Judeo-Christian foundation. So it's very different.
Yeah, on the issue of Jews and Christians. So I mean, Islam specifically defines itself as against anything involving the Trinity or the deity of Christ or something like that. So it's like explicitly contrasted with the Christian God while simultaneously claiming that we worship the same God. So Islam actually claims it. In Judaism, it's a different story because Christians view it as like God gave you progressively gave you more and more information about his nature as time went on. And so people, before you might not have understood as much, but even in the Old Testament, it's been pointed out by Jewish scholars that at the time of Jesus and the apostles and so on, it wouldn't have been some great concern to say that there's the Spirit of God and there's the Word of God and these things are divine, and so these things wouldn't have been shocking things. A lot of the beliefs, or even believing that there's some sort of plurality within the divine nature, that was very common in Judaism because of passages in the Old Testament where Yahweh is here on earth and Yahweh calls down fire from Yahweh in heaven. It's like, what's going on? And you have all of these passages where it sounds like it's talking about multiple personalities that are simultaneously in the same passage of the prophets who are called Yahweh, and it's Yahweh talking to Yahweh and so on. So they had things like that. So you've had Jewish scholars who've said, yeah, guys, when these guys said in the beginning was the Word and the Word was with God and the Word was God, that would not have been shocking to Jews at the time. Even when you read passages where they talk about the Messiah, are you the Messiah, the Son of God? And then at Jesus' trial, hey, are you the Christ, the Son of the living God? They had these things tied together, Son of God and so on. It's afterwards, after about 2 centuries later, where you have these disputes between Christians and Jews, and then the Jewish rabbis begin defining Judaism as specifically as contrary to Trinitarianism. That's where you get the differences start to increase. They tend to get further apart. So if you were saying a first century Jew, we would view ourselves as having more revelation about God, but we're still talking about the same God. Once you get to the point where you specifically are defining yourself against Christian doctrines, then it starts veering apart more and more. So that would be my take on that.
First of all, cheerleaders are base. Second of all, beer rules. Third of all, pork is king.
That is the most anti-Muslim. No, sorry.
Hey, IP, I just wanted to say learning about Islam made me want to quit porn for good and turn to God. Don't want to become Dan Haqiqatjou. Thanks. Yeah, I totally get it. I don't want to become to that point where you're so obsessed with this kind of stuff. It's like all you think about, and you can't even see like a girl without a hijab on, and you're like, oh, that's too tempting. Like it's not a culture, in my view, that encourages a lot of self-control, unfortunately. And this is the exact opposite in Christianity, where Christianity puts the emphasis on the person lusting. It's your fault. The Bible never blames women for that. It's if a man is lusting, he needs to learn self-control and control himself. It's not the other way around.
That's actually wrong. Islam teaches a lot of self-control in that, for example, when you are out fighting and you have the urge to have sex, you can quickly control yourself in subjugating your opponent and taking their women and raping them.
Or AP, stop misrepresenting. You can also during the time of Muhammad hire a prostitute and pay her, and you just marry her for an hour or 10 minutes or whatever.
That's true. That's true. Good money management.
Cat Canada says AP's accessories are lit. Yes,
Cat Canada, trust me, you have not seen AP's accessories. You have not seen AP's accessories at all.
Yeah,
you have not seen them until you see Muhammad meets Queers for Palestine.
It was fabulous.
Teenage girls want to look pretty and attractive to boys as healthy and normal. I mean, yeah, that's a normal girl activity. Again, if there are creepy old men lusting after them, that's the problem.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think girls need to be walking around in burqas. I just think men need to learn basic self-control. Of course, I also don't think women should be walking around like in skimpy
There you go.
lingerie either.
There's there's the follow-up right there. Correct.
Exactly. Adults
Yeah.
leering at young girls dancing is not healthy or normal. Absolutely.
Unless you marry them first.
Oh,
Yeah.
apparently,
Yeah.
yes.
Then it's based.
So I said this in the super chat. Daniel should start his own cheerleading group where the girls wear burqas and instead of dancing, they sit down and write "Go Team" on whiteboards.
Hey, we should do that. We should make that.
That's funny.
John Clash, who was on my channel last week, says for AP's hat.
Thank you.
Edgar with the very, very generous super chat. Very much appreciate it.
$500.
Woo! Very much appreciate that. God bless
Oh,
you,
nice.
brothers, to continue to give you the courage and the wisdom to shine the light into this darkness. Yeah, very much appreciate it. We'll keep doing what we're doing. Keep working at it because I'm going to keep it. Daniel's got to deal with me on child marriage for a very long time. I'm not going anywhere on this. And I will keep refuting him until he gets tired and stops talking about it. That's basically my goal at this point.
AIP, I just thought of a nice policy that we could agree on, beginning with this live stream, where we could share whatever you get in super chats, with your guests. So
You got it. I will send you a shiny nickel. No, I'm always willing to share super chats. With
No,
guests.
don't ever do that with either me or AP. I'm saying that because there's no scenario where we're sharing any of our super chats with you. So be consistent. Be consistent.
Alhamdulillah.
Fair is fair.
Nick Fuentes is a homosexual man. Yeah, there's a lot of red flags around him. He tells his followers not to even have sex. He's like, having sex with women is gay. Like, and then you see him like,
let's just
really.
Let's just
weird
focus on
homo
groping, but not girls. That would be wrong. It's grope me.
And here's inspiring philosophy, who probably is a Jew. That's why he doesn't like me, suggesting that I'm a pedophile. Or that I'm gay. That's completely inaccurate. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just that he's a Jew, and that's why he's saying these things. And I think we should call out Jews wherever we find them and wherever we see them. And Jews.
Maybe like when he was like 14, a Jewish guy rejected him and he's been angry about it since. But someone put together a montage one time of things he said, and it's like red flags are going up with this. But then I saw another clip where he said like when he was 30, he wants to like have a 16-year-old wife, which is something not right in your head if that's what you want. You don't want someone with mental maturity. You want someone you can control. So yeah, there's some really weird mental issues with him. I don't know if anyone can take him seriously.
It is very strange. Somebody please find out if inspiring philosophy is Jewish.
That will be the next thing. Yeah. Groypers are here and they're looking for boyfriends. Everyone welcome the Groypers. Welcome, Groypers.
It's funny. I'm saying this because I recently saw, I mentioned this before, but I was looking at Nick Fuentes' Telegram and was searching for anything he said about the Holocaust. I was just searching for the word Holocaust. And I found that at some point he was telling people, he posted on his Telegram, somebody please put me in touch with Sam Shamoun. And then apparently Sam Shamoun at the same time was having a live stream and somebody brought up Nick Fuentes and Sam Shamoun said, no, I am not going to have a chat with Nick Fuentes. I do not want to poison this live stream or this channel with his stuff. And then as soon as he heard that, he posted a clip of it and says, wow, is this guy a Jew? That's his first response to it. The guy's just mentally ill.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some mental issues there. King James version is basically the Quran. Mo also said that the angel Gabriel was the one who called Abu Bakr commander of the faithful, and was specifically when Dilha had him put Muhammad's head on his lap. That title's origin story. That's the title's origin story. Is that accurate? I don't know.
I don't-
what?
Daniel is this super chat. He says Mo also said that the angel Gabriel was the one who called Abu Bakr commander of the faithful, and was specifically when Dilha had put Muhammad's head on his lap. That's the title's origin story.
With the head on the lap. No, the one I read was Ali, not Abu Bakr. So
Mhm.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if there are multiple. I don't know if there are multiple sources on that one.
Daniel's opposed to freshman girls cheering for them being twice divorced single mothers. Yeah, because again, as I've pointed out, Daniel's got a horn of a dilemma here. If he's for child marriage, he's for higher divorce rates, because all the data shows is that if you marry before the age of 18, you're have much higher divorce rates than if you wait after. So he's got to pick one. Does he want high divorce rates or child marriage? You can't have both.
And keep in mind, you're talking about actual studies on minor marriage and so on. If he's talking about 55, 60, 70-year-old guys marrying these young girls, the guys are just going to die.
Mhm.
So the girls are going to be these single mothers who are then looking for another husband, like regardless,
Right.
if they have any kids.
Yeah. So is it lower divorce rates or child marriage? Got to pick one. Michael and David, es
ist Zeit. Ich bekenne meine. Oh, this is Christian AP. So this is something. This is something. Oh,
Wait,
this
wait,
is
wait,
something AP is supposed to be saying. Oh yeah. Say it, AP. Say it. You're supposed
Michael
to say this.
und David, es ist Zeit. Ich bekenne meine Sünden vor Gott und nehme Jesus Christus als meinen Herrn und Erlöser an. Er war Mensch und Gott zugleich und hat am Kreuz alle Schuld getilgt. That's funny.
AP's a Christian now. If you
Oh, but
if you had just recited the Shahada that way, they would say you're a Muslim now for
but
reciting
nobody
it.
understood it, so it doesn't count.
I can wait. Ich bekenne meine sin. So that's sins to God. So
God, yeah.
confess my sins to God and Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. So what is he saying? Like
I accept Jesus Christ as
accept
Lord and Savior.
Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. He was man and God zugleich. So like both of them, like
Yeah,
both of them together,
simultaneously
something like.
at the same time.
And
It's redeemed all sin
on the cross. Huh.
Yes, that's what it's.
So you just said it. You just confessed it.
Uh-oh. It's over. You're resurrected now.
You said it. You said it in English and German.
Alhamdulillah.
Now, if you say it in Turkish, then you'll be like,
Powerful.
I used to think that the school rule of not showing shoulder was dumb, and now I understand that they were protecting the girls from Muslims. Yeah, it's really weird that it's always the Muslims complaining about girls showing shoulders or wearing skirts. Like, and the rest of us are like, what are you talking about? That's like, just if you're worried, don't look. Like, no one here is like having like serious lusts and self-control issues because of this. Like, we just move on with our lives. Like, it is very weird. Like, they constantly like, if you just cover girls up constantly and then you finally see one, you just can't control yourself. And there's definitely is something to the idea that you go too far in modesty, you make things worse. There needs to be a good middle between like, the secular liberal and the Islam. Like, right? Why can't we just do something in the middle, like with like traditional Christian?
there is a good middle ground. It's called Christianity.
Exactly. Hey guys, my wife enjoys watching you a lot. Can you please say hi to Christy, please? Hi, Christy.
Hello.
Hey, Christy. Base.
What's up, Christy?
Thank you, Gareth. Hi, Gareth. I'll say hi to Gareth too. Gareth and Christy.
Not hi to Gareth.
He's not saying hi to you, Gareth. He doesn't want to say hi.
Yeah.
I'm loving all the Islamophobia on the stream. Apostate of Allah said that. Just heard Destiny wants us all dead if we are conservative. Oh, well, just guess we have to pray for him. LOL, peace be upon Destiny. Now, I didn't hear that, but I hope that's not what he said.
That's not really what he said. It's just, I think he quoted something where the person who died or who was killed during the rally as a result of the shooting apparently tweeted something about how Putin is the better one out of these different people, some Democrats, and which is why he doesn't care about that person dying or something like that. I don't know. It's really, really messed up. I haven't really followed it long enough.
I looked at some of it, and the guy that died did say some pretty controversial things on Twitter that I didn't agree with. Some of the stuff, And so, yeah, he was not the best person. Who of us is? The guy died trying to save his children and his wife, like people he loved. Let's not drag his memory through the mud over this because he wasn't perfect or he had political views different from us. Like, it's just disgusting. It's far worse than whatever he could have said.
Yeah, it's I like Destiny generally most of the time. But this whole behavior, that whole attitude, that whole whatever he was doing to make whatever point he was trying to make, just got really ridiculous very quickly. And no matter what point he was trying to make, you're talking about a person who was simply at a rally, and who was brutally killed, who left family and other people behind, who miss him and loved him probably, and you are there to make a point, make fun of the whole situation. That's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I can say that as I'm someone who is a big fan of going to almost any length to make a point that needs to get made. But yeah, right there, not a good situation to make your point. Find another way.
You guys should stream on that this week, and that's a hot topic, apparently.
Speaking of hot topics, have you heard of Diha Al-Kalbi?
The difference between Jesus being the Son of God and prophets being called sons of God is that Jesus is the uncreated eternal Son of God, whereas prophets are created sons of God. What are your thoughts? So here's the thing. In Jewish culture, the title Son of God just meant a typical and idiomatic expression for Messiah. However, in certain places like John chapter 3, Hebrews 1, Jesus goes on to describe him. Jesus is described in John 3, he describes himself as a unique Son of God. So he is Son of God in the terms that he's the Messiah, but then in these other passages, he's clearly describing himself in ways that go beyond the Messiah, that he is this unique Son of God, the second person of the Trinity kind of thing. So yeah, you just can't look at, they say you're the Son of God. They're saying he's the second person of the Trinity. That's not always the case in the New Testament, but there are places like Hebrews 1 and John 3, like I said, where Jesus is clearly being identified as a unique Son of the Father and therefore also God. So you got to just look at the different passages.
Yeah, and I would, if you go back to the first video I posted on my new channel, Apologetics Roadshow, the first video I posted on that channel was called Jesus, the Son of God. And I go through, because Muslims use this objection, God has sons by the tons. All these different people are called sons of God. So I actually go through all the different ways the Bible uses sons of God or children of God and so on. And I explain the different uses. And then I show how, one, Jesus is claimed to be the Son of God in a unique sense. And that because he's the Son of God in this unique sense, he actually is the supreme example of the Son of God in all the other senses. So something to check out.
I saw the Messenger of Allah putting Hussein's legs apart and kissing his
little penis. It says his little penis.
That's the verse they had mentioned earlier that you said you wanted to look up.
Mm-hmm.
Al-Zawadi.
Yeah, there's the one about kissing Hussein's little penis.
That's real.
As far as I know, yeah.
Like that's in that hadith.
I've seen that a lot. Yeah, keep in mind. So here's a situation where they would just say it's some custom, because that's his grandson. That's his grandson. It's not some random person. So they would say, it's just a little custom. It's like these would be the same kids he was sucking on their tongues and stuff like that. So they would say it's just some little, just some little custom. But yeah, we might have been willing to give the benefit of the doubt if all your Dawa guys weren't constantly lying about everyone in the Bible. So no more of that, ladies and gentlemen, no more.
Speaking about Destiny, I'm just checking his profile, and apparently, in response to some of the people very angry at him, people asked Elon Musk to block ad revenue for Destiny's account.
Elon said, "Yeah, that shouldn't be."
And Elon apparently did it, and Destiny just posted a screenshot where he received notification that he is no longer benefiting from ad revenue sharing because his account violates policies. Now, here's the thing. I think that what Destiny has been doing the last few days is totally despicable. However, I'm sorry, but if you actually are for taking away his ad revenue because of this stuff. That is just hypocritical and despicable and horrible. First off, this is the very same thing that people have been that the right or conservatives have been supposedly fighting against for the longest time. Whenever the left took action because they were offended about something, and also there are tons of massively worse people on Twitter posting horrible things, including inciting genocide and things like that, every day, and their revenue is not being heard. It's kind of shameful and disgusting, to be honest, to see that that people, because of Elon Musk, took this whole system of canceling and demonetizing people and turned it around and are now freely using it against those people they disagree with. This is just
yeah, I don't actually. Maybe we could talk about this on your channel, AP, if we talk about the whole issue. But yeah, I don't think it's really hypocritical. I don't believe that your site has to actually pay people to say stuff if it crosses certain lines of terms of service and so on. And that's always been Elon's position. He said freedom of speech does not equal freedom of reach. So he's saying we don't even have to promote your stuff or to share your stuff as much as we would share stuff that's not offensive and so on. But I would agree with you as terms of there are people who are saying way worse stuff, and they also, and keep in mind, I'm someone who's been on the receiving end of demonetization and so on and all that issue. So it's something I take seriously, but I have no problem with actual fair, clear lines. Here are the lines. If you cross them, then you're demonetized. My objection is just like targeting people because we don't like what you're saying and it doesn't violate any of the written policies, and they say we're gonna take you out anyway or cancel you anyway or something like that. So it is a difficult issue. But yeah, as far as not paying someone to do something, I totally get that. But it's different from like silencing people or saying you can't be on the platform.
Aren't you supposed to compensate wives when you divorce a woman in Islam? Does Mutta give a special dispensation to not do this in addition to no weight?
It's part of the contract. It's part of the contract. You say what you're giving her. So you are paying her. You're paying her for being married to her for an hour or 3 hours or 2 days or something like that. But that's all arranged in the contract. Here's what you're getting out of this temporary marriage. And in the Muslim sources, messed up. He'd say we would give them a handful of flour or a garment. So that's what you give her. Here's a handful of flour, and I'm going to bang you for a couple hours.
Wonder where he's been for the past 30 plus years of abstinence, only sex ed, where every teacher and adult was sex equal death. Oh, he's talking about Daniel. Yeah, I mean, like that was what I got in high school. Like I got sent to sessions. Like, this was a public high school. Be abstinent. Like that's what was pushed on us for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's changed since then, but yeah, that's what I was pushed into.
Yeah, did they make you watch those videos where it's like two teenage kids and they have sex and what do we do about this baby and this pregnancy, and then like they're having to figure out how to live with the baby or people get a disease or something like that.
I had other weird stuff to watch. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was so like cringy. You just are like in high school and you were like, let me just focus on something else. I think I was drawing through most of it.
Well, it's just funny because once they took out any sort of moral aspect, like instead of where they got to a point where they can't say it's wrong to do something, they would just try to scare you and just say, we're going to scare you and
ruin your life.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Honored to see you three again. Appreciate it. Still not good on Destiny. Yeah, definitely not good on him for sure for saying that horrible stuff. Love your work. Inappropriate possibility. Darwin word in a prostrate posture.
Oh, I think he's misspelling our stuff. So Darwin word would be David Wood, and a prostate posture would be AAP. And your inappropriate possibility, inspiring philosophy.
Yeah, I see what he's doing there. Yeah, commas help. Agree. Should not take away his money, free speech for everyone to bring bad ideas out. Yeah, I mean, I kind of see both points that AP and David made. It depends, really. I mean, the one thing is that when we say if we want free speech, we have to remember that's the First Amendment, as it was originally set up, was to say the federal government cannot violate free speech. However, it didn't even apply to state governments in its original context. State governments could set up things that they could say, like, for example, in like Virginia, there was a religious test if you wanted to hold public office in Virginia, like very early on.
Smart.
That has changed since then. I mean,
bring it back.
Very much so. But I mean, the original Constitution allowed the states a lot of rights that like the Bill of Rights didn't apply to the state governments, so it depends.
Yeah, it's not a
Destiny
free speech issue. It's just a big hypocrisy issue.
Yeah.
Where destiny is just being acted against here in terms of monetization because he offends the wrong kind of people. And that just reminds me of how Twitter was before Elon Musk took over. Just the sides have changed.
Destiny isn't entitled to ad revenue. If you are so high on your own farts that you call half the country your enemies, you are entitled to your fake social media job. Time to get a real job is what the Ayatollah says. I get what AP is saying with the hypocrisy thing there. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's not entitled to it, but it is a little odd.
Yeah, kind of. The only real issue for me is just consistency. If you can make whatever rules you want about what is acceptable and not acceptable, what will get you banned from the platform or what will just get you demonetized or something like that, draw the lines and apply them consistently, whatever the side of the political or moral issue that anyone's on, apply those rules consistently and have a good appeal process in place, so that if someone's wrong, if it's just some person on the trust and safety team who targeted you and took you out or something like that, that there's a good appeals process so that the rules can be applied fairly. And so I'm fine if you want to say, hey, this site is a free for all, anyone can say anything, I'm okay with that. If you want to say, here are the rules of what's acceptable on this platform, I'm okay with that. Just be consistent with it. That's
I mean, it just shows that those people who advocated for and now celebrate Destiny getting demonetized, when those people were angry about cancellations and demonetizations when it was happening to them on YouTube and other platforms, it just shows that they were just a bunch of crybabies who weren't actually against demonetization and against censorship and against deplatforming and all that. They were just against the fact that the other side was doing it.
Well, AP, it also depends. What was the person who complained canceled for? If I said, hey, I don't agree with this, and I got canceled for it, and then you're like, ha ha ha, this guy died, and he gets canceled. Those might not be the same thing. That's what I'm saying. Wherever the bar is, just keep it even, and I'd be okay with it.
What he got canceled for is basically saying LMFAO. Why would I care about this person dying? So that's it. It's not even that he celebrated it. It's that he said, "Why would I care?"
Yeah, we could go through it. If that's all he said, then I wouldn't think he should get shut down for that either.
Yeah. How dare you start your stream at the same time as the great prophet Aiden Mattis? May the curse of Allah be upon you. Old Salam, Bacon, Al Ham, and Llamas. What is his channel? What is it? Lore Lodge, I believe. I was on there a couple times, I think. It's like a channel that like blew up over like a night. Like I was on there when it was like 1,000 subscribers. And then like in a year, I went on again and they had more subscribers than I did. So therefore I can go live when I want. They're doing fine. They don't need me to steal fans from them. Thanks for becoming a channel member, Cam. Appreciate it. I think that's the end of the super chats. So yeah, there we have it. Daniel Haqiqatjou is convinced that if we allow girls to wear skirts, we're hypocrites for not allowing them to bang the girls in the skirts, apparently.
Powerful based.
Hard to get around that logic, ladies and gentlemen. If you let your daughter wear a skirt and enter a dance competition or something in a high school event, you're basically just the same as child marriage. What's the difference?
Well, it's worse. You'd be much better off having married her off to some creepy old pedophile when she's 4, according to Daniel.
Oh, that person came back and said they can't find the hadith. They said you're probably right. It is Ali, not Abu Bakr. All right, I'll close this out. Appreciate you guys coming on. Do you have anything coming up on your channel you want to promote?
Some disturbing stuff that cannot be named here. Yes. Right. Yeah. So as far as the video stuff we recorded, we got Muhammad Meets Queers for Palestine. We recorded the scene where we reenacted the entire scene where Muhammad gets poisoned by the Jewish woman after the Battle of Khaybar, with vocab as Prophet Muhammad and Hatun as the Jewish woman who poisons him, and me as Bishr, the guy who eats the poison and dies a horrible death. And we got a funny funny remake of an old video that I recorded with Nabil, but now we have me and AP doing it. So anyway, that stuff will all be coming out here as soon as I edit it.
I can't read this at all. Do you guys know what language this is?
That's some Turkish nonsense. I can tell by all the stupid symbols that don't make any sense.
I don't speak donkey. I'm not sure what exactly it is.
Oh boy. All right. Appreciate everyone coming. We will keep Daniel in check, and I'm going to keep responding to him. I don't care. I'm not letting him get away with any of this nonsense. And
by the way, IP, that's the only thing that works long term is just being relentless.
I will.
They will continue lying and misrepresenting things for years in an effort to just wear you down to where you just get to the point where I can't respond to this anymore. These guys never shut up. So it's the relentlessness that eventually wears them down until they go, yeah, it's not working. And then people start catching on. We've seen it. We've seen this with the scientific miracles. We've seen this with the holes in the narrative. We've seen this with Muhammad and Aisha. They lie about something for years, and you wonder if you're making any progress, and all of a sudden, oops, now they all admit it.
Yep. I'm going to just keep doing it, and they're not going to stop me. Daniel will regret the day he ever wanted to debate me on this.
Nice.
So here we are.
He already does.
All right, everyone. I'll see you next time. I should be back on my channel next week. I don't know. I gotta get that stream out together. So, all right, I will plan that, and I will see you guys next week. I'll announce it this weekend. Talk to you later.